Map 1 of this first best of 3 of the day for the EU Minor has been completed, and it is done and dusted. We did go to the train yards, and it would be OpTic coming out the lesser there against the mousesports that did struggle and shake there towards the end, but they were able to accomplish the mission at hand. Welcome back to the EU Minors, the Intel Extreme Masters Katowice Major 2019. My name is Trey Stunna-Saranthus alongside some dashing gentlemen. We're going to be making some sense and really kind of making it all come together between these two teams in an elimination matchup, boys.
I got something I got to say quickly before we get talking.
Okay.
I have that feeling where you feel like you're going to sneeze.
Oh, you got a button for that?
Yeah, just so everybody knows, just in case, it's that feeling. It's not going away. So it might crop up at any point.
Got any water anywhere?
No, we're good, we're good. But on the positive notes, because let's say on the positive side of things, that was a much more competitive matchup than I was expecting, right? And I mean that in the way that it's good that OpTic showed up and put up a fight. It's also good that it looks on the scoreboard that everybody from mousesports contributed, right? So the factor from yesterday, mousesports, they really, it was just the Chris J show. And then the other side of things, for OpTic, it didn't really get going. So competitive game, it's an elimination match, of course. It's just looking like a good series because now we go into Nuke, right? I don't want to get too far out of myself.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing you can look at on the OpTic side, and we kind of alluded to it, talked about it a little bit in the pre-match, was Config needing to show up, and he did in a big way here if you look at the numbers. Now, obviously, this did end 16-14, so you can kind of go back and forth to say, you know, how much of an impact did one have, but in a 16-14, Config showing up in the first map kind of bodes well going into the second.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I was a little I scared for OpTic in the sense that they were playing so super slow. That are they going to run themselves in a situation where the time is just going to keep running down, and they put themselves in a situation where they cannot create like a man advantage, or some kind of a situation where they put themselves in an advantageous position so that they could then cram a bomb site from multiple angles simultaneously. But it actually worked out because mousesports was not contesting them enough. They were not holding either Ivy or Pop Dog or Team Main aggressive enough so that basically OpTic could come out from multiple angles simultaneously and make it super hard for the CTs to really make plays. And OpTic, again, were able to trade effectively.
I think a big condition as well for making that game so close was the 1vx situations fell in the favor of OpTic here. Now in that matchup, they were able to pick up 3 1vx situations to the 1 of mousesports. Right, that definitely helps because those are that tend to be pivot rounds or swing rounds. I think the double AWP setup, once they got that going as well for the mousesports side of things, that was one of the conditions that I brought up. Chris J and Oscar is the double AWP. It's very dangerous, it's very potent, and both of them are willing to take risks and poke and prod. It's not like you have a team with one passive AWPer and one aggressive AWPer. These guys both are willing to get up close and personal with it, so that's another condition that actually on Nuke won't have as much of an impact.
Well, I mean, if we're talking about the mousesports side, we're seeing Stiko show up in a big way too. He had a lot of individual flashiness that showed up on their side, and if we look at the OpTic side, we can say, hey, Refresh had quite the showing himself. So, I mean, between those two, definitely needing to come alive here in this elimination best of 3.
Yeah, I feel like one of the things we saw, I think, the most when OpTic was hitting the inner bomb side is that they kind of lack finesse in the sense that when there was 2 CTs from mousesports in the inner bomb side, you never really saw either of them being flashed or contested, pressured. Instead, they could like have this great crossfire where one would get the first contact, second guy, then come out of Z, get the second kill, right? They would OpTic
protocols.
Yes. Yeah. OpTic would never be able to get that advantage going for themselves. Instead, if they would have had a couple of good flashbangs that then the guy playing up close on the CT side would have to then rotate, move a little bit, then that kind of situation would have never happened, right? So those are the kind of little tidbits here and there that OpTic's just lacking.
Just before we move on, there's one round that I think is probably going to haunt Cajun if they go out here in this situation, was the round where it was, I think it was like a 2-on-4 or something along those lines, and he had the P250 close low ramp. One player had pushed past, pushing up along the ramp. He's seen him. He's gone for that kill. He whiffs. He gets another chance at the AWP player, which is Oscar on the low ramp. Whiffs again, and then at that point, the round just starts crumbling away, and Yugi's left in a 1-on-1.
And in the second whiff, so to say, he did run out of ammunition. So he already had the drop on 2 players. And yes, that one might come back to haunt him, but not like we will when we move over to Nuke. The map old is the game itself. We're now going to be seeing OpTic and mousesports squared off here in what could be the end of the road for one of these teams.
Both teams are pretty proficient on Nuke historically, right? For mousesports, it's a map where they change things up a little bit. I mentioned double AWP setup. Oscar actually pivots towards the inner bomb side, plays with the shotgun a lot, and Chris J becomes the primary AWPer on the CT side towards Yard, which is where mousesports will be starting because this is the pick of OpTic Gaming. But one thing I really like with Snappy and the way that he's in-game led his teams is when they do get that ramp or secret control is the way they use the utility to get under.
Well, getting underway we will do, but I need to ask you guys real quick, is this the dream ending right here on Nuke? Are we going to all 3?
Like I said, I mean, there's another map on this pool really that you can say one way or the other, honestly. But in the past, you know, mousesports was one of the teams that were considered a team that can contest a team like a Charlotte on the map, right? So it's definitely not going to be easy for OpTic at this point in time. I feel like this is going to close out at 2.
Well, not a walk in the park, but we're going to find out in due time, and that time is right about now. It's time to head over to the commentators. Jumping to the second map of Nuke here between OpTic and mousesports. It's going to be Hugo Byron and Harry Russell. Take it away, gentlemen.
Yeah, thank you very much, Trace. We're getting ready to head on in to the second map of this elimination best of 3 mousesports. As you can see over there on the left-hand side of your screen, they just picked up the victory on a trade. Their map pick by the skin of their teeth, 16-14. OpTic now on Nuke. This is their map pick. Danes, this is their bread and butter. They love this map. Let's see what they can bring to the table.
Yeah, at least historically, mousesports have been one of the few non-Danish teams that can actually rival Danish teams on this map. So that definitely bodes well, and that's why we do have some of the analysts predicting, you know, okay, 2-0 is very realistic here, especially with everyone stepping up on mousesports. The kill distribution in that previous map was fantastic, only 6 from bottom to top. So always a good sign. Oscar, at least in this round, is going to be opening up on the pistol. We have a fast A burst from OpTic. The flash through the top won't find too much, but Snappy will get the opening kill for this T side. It's traded back to a 3-on-3, but we still have so much control on A for the CTs. mousesports not relinquishing this yet. Stiko able to give a second chance, and there is a player who dropped down vents to B, so you don't have to worry about that. If Cajun can also get a frag here, that would really open up this round, and indeed it has. This bomb can now rotate back up and get into the A site.
Yeah, already Chris here, he's really got his work cut out for him. As good as he's looked, he's going to go ahead and fall at the first hurdle in this round. Suddenly it is all left on to Rops. He was having a fantastic game back on trade, top performer for the squad, but this time he gets mopped up like it's nothing. The 1v3 asking a little too much of Rops, and that will be OpTic finding themselves the pistol around here over on the T side. A chance as well to get off to a good start on the least favored side of the map.
Yeah, without doubt. And I mean, OpTic need this start here, right? They're already down a map. They're already up against Elimination in first in the EU Minor. And that's not a team that you would expect to be going out first or last place, I guess you could say. Not first place. Let's not get that confused. But yeah, I would really like to see all 3 maps here, especially with the question mark of Mirage as that third one, the map that mousesports struggled on versus Valiant just yesterday. So definitely a lot of storylines here, but let's see if OpTic can bring us to that third map. We've got mousesports on the Force Buy. We've got Chris J on that Scout, obviously the resident AWPer for Nuke specifically. But no money for that just yet. It is the Force Buy. Deagles across the other 4 players here for mousesports, and OpTic leading out that door, smoke towards main. They're going to just go for another fast A burst. The smoke is down from Oscar, and that might prohibit this push from OpTic, especially with Stiko finding first blood.
Yeah, you can see the game plan's had to change now. OpTic try and pivot around, turn their attention instead towards the ramp, and Chris J is doing so much damage. They're getting separated, and they're offering themselves up to Chris on a silver platter. Everybody falls, and mousesports instantly in with the reply. Going to be tying things up 1-1 here as they win that Force Buy. And now for OpTic back to the drawing board, and that good start that potentially they could have gotten off to on the T side has now been called into question.
Yeah, that's a bit of a worry. OpTic weren't able to get a single pistol round back on train. It was mousesports able to find them, and the follow-ups as well. So with OpTic getting a pistol, finally looking good for the Danes, and they just get slapped out in the second. That's going to put them on their own Force Buy. They've got to repeat what mousesports just did to them. Maybe back towards the ramp, it seems. We've got Rops here alone for the time being. The smoke very, very close, but once that fades, these Deagles are going to be on the other side. Cajun B already peering through. And Rops looking for something, but he spots a shadow, he spots a player through. He's going to be able to drop the bomb. That can call for a heavy rotate. He even finds 2 before he falls. Sunny's in position as well, and there's 3 headshots from Sunny. Looking delicious, I'm sure. As you can see, looking pretty happy about that one. We are going to see mousesports go 2-1 up very early on, not having too much of a problem with the pistols of OpTic.
Yeah, I mean, they really didn't look all too tested there, did they? I mean, Sunny looked very, very comfortable indeed. And I mean, once again, he's off to a good start here on this map. If you recall back on train, he got off to a good start there, was able to find his footing, then went a little bit quiet in towards the start of their CT side, and then picked things up once again towards the very end. OpTic this time do just have to take the eco. Pretty bitter pill to swallow. That means mousesports going to be moving up with this 3-1 lead, unless something goes disastrously wrong. Oscar's here. with his auto shotgun. Very prolific and associated with this man. Yeah, I'm going to find Snappy, who's just doing a great job of hiding away. Hide-and-seek champion here. No.
Maybe not.
Yeah. Not going to be winning that award anytime soon. That will be the 3-1 lead for mousesports, but now the buy back on the cards for OpTic. And I'm curious to see what they're going to field, because you noted back on train, Yugi kind of neglecting to pick up the AWP every now and again. They were, quite enjoying just running that 5-man rifle setup, going for those more explosive style plays.
Yeah, especially in the early game, right? But let's see if that's the same story on the T side. In fact, it is. I mean, of all the maps, this is one where you can kind of go, okay, AWPing T side, not as necessary. You can run those full rifles. And Yugi, I mean, he doesn't even have the money for it, so not going to be a problem for now. We don't have that AWP on Chris J either, so Yard is going to be a real point of contention, but OpTic want nothing to do with it right now. They're just set up inside of the lobby and the T roof. We could see another one of those smoke executes towards that A bomb site. Flash is going through the roof. Right now, it's looking to be exactly that. We got Oscar down in the vents as well, so while he's kind of neglected the door, this is a great position to cut off any vent players or any drops towards B that OpTic might try and abuse. They've done this before in the pistol round as well. Stico's even in the hut, so mousesports are definitely bringing some challenge here to OpTic. They're not just giving them the free map control. Stico not letting anyone inside of the A site. Oscar ready to pounce from below. Even though you don't have a lot of accuracy on this ladder, the shotgun's going to be so good close range, so he can pop up and try and chip away at these players. He does exactly that. Sunny finishing off the kill as well, but he's been dropped and this A site has been opened up. Oscar still cordoned out. There's no more smokes left to cut off main or anything, but Oscar doesn't want to dive up through the vents, so he's got to go for the long rotate round. This gives time for OpTic to plant. And still with the lobby control as well in the form of Cage and B over there, so this is a very, very difficult retake, if impossible, for mousesports.
Yeah, there's still a buy up in the next round for them. It's just question is here is how confident do they feel? Are they going to play it safe? It looks like they want to try and see if they can make something happen, at least initially. Oh, Rops! Okay, from the heavens. Might be heaven sent for mousesports here. And Cage and B now into the 1v1. He has actually pulled this back as now he tries to go toe-to-toe onto Oscar. Oscar's holding the defuse and Cage and wrapping on round. Just going to get there in the nick of time. Denies the defuse, picks up the frag, and that will be OpTic Gaming locking in their second round.
Yeah, big 3K from Cajun as well. I have no idea how Rops gets two kills there. He already gave away his position with that HE grenade coming in from heaven just a few seconds prior. So great flashbang from whoever set that up over in main to actually take him down. Surprised to see OpTic play so contained within the site rather than just take those gunfights towards main, especially when they were better equipped having full AKs. But either way, it can still be a buy in the follow-up from mousesports. They've got that AWP on Chris J, and I mean, OpTic are the ones struggling to buy, if anything, despite winning that previous. They've got 2 SMGs.
This is really kind of paralleling the storyline, at least early on from Train, and that was OpTic. They couldn't win rounds cleanly, right? It was always down to these 1vx scenarios. As Chad mentioned on the desk, they had 3 1vx, wins in that matchup, which, very impressive. But at the same time, if you're only surviving with one man time and time again, you never have the money, you never have all that utility that you need. You don't have the AWPs. Yugi, he hasn't even had a chance to even consider that possibility yet with how much money he's had.
He's not even had an AK yet.
No, he hasn't. He's been running Galileo UMP. So yeah, I mean, OpTic might be 2-2, but still strapped for cash and still struggling. They're going to go running by Stico. Sunny's in with that trade and the bomb's dropped. They've isolated this push. Now they go running into the maws of Oscar. They fed the beast that much more. It is just Snappy and Yugi, the 2 SMG players left standing.
And look at that bomb as well. It's so out in the open. There's no way to retrieve that unless you commit towards the site. And so they've got to make sure this one smoke has a lot of value. Goes out towards the hut. No one going to push behind it though. Chris J still covering off the door with the AWP, and he is just styling on them. First kill found, second tag connecting, and he won't be able to finish off the frag. Yugi getting the shot there with the SMG. No head armor for Chris, and he'll come to regret that. But Yugi still has a very difficult task ahead of him. Upgrading to the AK. Sunny doesn't want to take this fight. Can't get this wallbang kill if his teammate moves in, and Rops will do that, but Sunny's already found the frag instead, so that AWP saved the AK as well. mousesports, a little bit dicey at the end there, but they do get away with it. They do deny the A entry, and that's been something that's been consistent so far. OpTic have really been trying to put the pressure on A, and with the exception of that pistol round, mousesports have been doing a very good job to at least delay the push, or at least get a couple of kills before that A commitment does come through. Look at Stiko pushing in through the heart, and Oscar playing this close fence as well.
And this, you know, I hate to keep preaching about the same thing, but this is the issue, right? When you're constantly on the back foot in terms of your money, you know, you never have the economy. That's who you're kind of relegated down to, is these fast plays. That's all you can, right? You're always running through smokes. You never have the flashes, the incendiaries. You can't create that space for yourself. And you are entirely relying on individual performances. Rops here at the ramp goes blow for blow with Yugi. He's going to win that first fight and then just gets out of trouble, drops that flash, and that's going to grant him safe passage down into the B bomb site. Chris J now holding off Hell here. And he does have support as well in from CT. That's going to be Sunny to try and bail him out if players do come his way. Trade's found though, so there's still a chance here. OpTic might be onto something after all.
Oh, Snappy, he's found himself another shot, but the rotate up from the bottom of ramp, he knew that there was at least one player. He heard those footsteps, but didn't expect two. Refresh caught in the corner, and he'll go down as well. An interesting fact about that round is Yuki had a 3,700 going into it, so instead of saving a bit of money for the AWP in this buy round, where OpTic would have had the money for full rifles, he instead bought up. Now that's going to really limit him. I don't know if that's a purpose thing, but it does at least lead to him potentially not even wanting this AWP on the T side, which is kind of an interesting fact, especially when you know that Chris J has been running it so far. But not looking to pull that in, and it won't even have the money for a gun for Yugi. That was the first AK he had, and it's going to be the last one for a while.
I do sometimes think so. OpTic, they do run into this issue of having this, you know, very aggressive purchase style in the game, akin to, you know, a lot of the French teams used to have kind of similar problems, right? This time, though, Snappy has been able to open up. Ooh, but they don't know Sunny's here, and he's just bided his time, patient as ever. They might try and turn back around and pick him up, and actually, indeed they do. Config is there to shut him down. He's already flanked all the way around towards Hell. Just a thorn in their side, the fly in the ointment. But there's Rops to deal with the lone lurker in the back line. Now they've just got to worry about the bulk of OpTic down inside of B. And it looks like they will be allowed to get this bomb down at the very least.
That plant coming through, but they're so close. Yugi wanting to take this fight with the rotations, and they're going to throw a nade. He catches them without weapons in their hands, 1 for 1, but damage to Oscar will really open up this round, and there's no way he'll expect a second player up close. Cajun's got to pick an angle, and he's already found himself the first refresh, able to assist, but it's Cajun taking both frags. A nice aggressive ramp push there in the post plant, instead of just settling back, considering they only had one AK-47 in that 3-on-3 versus the 3 rifles of mousesports. Playing aggressive, playing close ramp, that was a good call from OpTic. So save the day by Snappy, and that will be another rifle round going the way of this T side. A bit of a fort, but hey, they make it work.
Hey, I mean, they've broken the economy of mousesports. OpTic a chance to actually start to chain together a couple around, start to build up that money that's been a real crux for them. Smokes down towards that side, standard wall, and that's going to allow safe passage for Config. Bit of a gap in it, but that doesn't matter all too much. At least not in this round, as it's only pistols out for mousesports right now. A couple of deegs here and there. Oscar's got himself armor behind his to try and play around with. Rops holding close and not able to find anything. It's eco frags aplenty right now for this OpTic gaming squad. Blink of an eye, it's only Stiko left. You're not expecting anything from him. It will be a 4th round here for OpTic.
Yep, nice and clean, no casualties, and still plenty of money to move forward with. Does enable for that AWP to come into this round. I'm kind of interested to see if they go for it, knowing that mousesports did hard eco that round. USPs mainly. Yeah,
I mean, it's very clear, right? mousesports, they're aiming to get that out here. You saw Rops keep a bunch of extra money there. I think he was around $4,500, $4,600 on him. So he's going to be dropping that over to the likes of Chris J, you would imagine. And I'm curious, yeah, do we see Yugi bring this out? Because it hasn't really been, yeah, they haven't dropped any hints that that's something they're gearing themselves up towards. They've mainly been focusing towards these inner bomb sites as well. And that's been interesting in and of itself, because once again, they're back to this fast play out towards A. That MAC-10 is already all the way down inside of your B bomb site, mousesports. And at this point, they're scratching their heads wondering how are they going to deal with Snappy already so deep inside of this B bomb site.
Chris J is in the perfect position for this. He's already pre-rotated down. So while Snappy's making it very clear he's here with the Molotovs, Chris J's watching the wrong side, expecting the vents push. And that was a well-timed molly. Allowed Config to face wide and get himself 2 kills down in that lower bomb site. OpTic still even have lobby control as well, so Cajun can come late in through the vents, catch these rotations. At this point, Stico's already thrown in the towel and bailed off towards CT spawn. So while these CTs attempt to push in the lobby, it's another 1-for-1, and when you're already trying to save your guns, that's not what you want. mousesports would have hoped for at least 3 rifles going into the next one, but now they've got a maximum of 2. OpTic, bomb down, round guaranteed, 4 players surviving, and hopefully Snappy can upgrade his SMG to a rifle as well, a little more firepower. But nice to actually see OpTic not invest in the AWP, planning to go for that faster round. They didn't upgrade the SMG, sorry, not going for the AWP. They didn't decide to upgrade the MAC-10. They just utilized it to their advantage by getting that fast vent dive and getting down into that B bomb site with a wall of smokes. Works out wonderfully. 5 rounds here apiece. And already a strong T-side being shown from OpTic on their map pick.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the big advantages now to getting a player down through the vents early on, is if you do then throw those outside smokes, is, you know, the easiest way to remedy that is to try and rotate a player down into the B bomb site to keep an eye on Secret, maybe even have, you know, your AWPer take a peek there early on if you can get the timing, or, you know, you have someone keeping an eye on outside to try and delay that initial push. But having a man in the vents creates such a big problem. As you could see, they were very aware of that vent position off to the right, so preoccupied with the fact that Snappy could have just pushed on through, whether it's in through decon or out through the vents. So their attention was divided, and that is going to be mousesports' demise in that round. A bit of a pause called on in here as they try and remedy the problems that OpTic are throwing their way. It hasn't been an easy time of things thus far for mousesports. Sunny still continuing his good form from Train. Chris J just behind him. But it's been Cajun B, Config, and Snappy thus far actually having the big showing for OpTic. Refresh and Yugi sitting down towards the bottom of the board. And that's kind of worrying in and of itself, because Refresh still has a lot more to give to this game.
Yeah, it does definitely seem like Refresh, at least on this team, is playing some of the harder roles, like filling in the spots that Nico was before. We saw him down on that lower B bomb site, running solo on Train, for example. So I feel like OpTic definitely have just slotted Refresh into a lot of Nico's positions. And while he's a great clutch player in his own right as well, I think that's certainly going to, you know, hold him back from being a star of this team like Config. Either way, Yugi's actually on the AWP now, Harry, so he's found himself a first pick down ramp, but it has been traded back, and twofold as well. Stuck in a 3-on-3, Rops still plays the bottom of this ramp. And with OpTic rerouting back into the lobby, if Yugi does, Rops does decide to push back up here, he's going to get a lot of information and work out that maybe this isn't the B play they're expecting after all, because Config's already crept out onto the A site, and Stico is none the wiser. He has no idea right now. He's going to have all the info as a bullet hits him in the side of the head. Config, he's still crept down B, and that's where both mousesports players currently sit. They've retaken the ramp control, but at the loss of the A site, with that bomb going down, another man advantage post plant for OpTic Gaming in a very difficult position for mousesports.
Yeah, and in this 2-on-3, I mean, might have to make that call to say they're going to try and take a peek on in. See if they can muster up anything. If you recall, Rob's last time he was in this sort of situation did manage that big double down into the bomb site, triple actually, I believe. But yeah, this time around, it's no such luck for Mouse. Instead, electing to hold onto these rifles. Maybe Oscar's going to be presented an opportunity to find a couple of exits, but OpTic trying to play it safe, try and exit out through Mini. Config has cleared the outside portion of the map, so they try and run to where they know the safety is, but Rops hunts them down and does at least make this a little bit more expensive, although money isn't really a problem for OpTic at this point in time.
No, definitely not. This T-side has been very good. And again, as you kind of mentioned earlier, a bit of a problem they were having on Train is not taking the clean rounds. And that continues to haunt them, but at least they do have somewhat of a cash save. Last round not being a great example of that, but otherwise everyone looking pretty good. We got 9K, 10K on Config and Yugi, so looking good. Yugi again going for a bit of a fast play out towards that squeaky door, finding or attempting to find a quick pick. It's potentially an A main player, but Oscar won't be there with the shotgun this time. He's up on the A bomb site, but Chris J on the AWP as well, so mousesports pulled that into their roster. He's playing back towards CT spawn. So if OpTic did go for those outside smokes, they would be gifted the B control fairly easily. mousesports more than aware of that, but they'd be able to rotate Chris J down through the tunnels to try and hold on to that B bomb site. However, not clearly being a problem right now. OpTic setting up for an A execute. Again, Sunny in a position that Stiko has been playing a lot, so I imagine OpTic will check this spot. This has been frequently used so far this half. It's now Stiko down on the site. The nade up into the hut, but already OpTic have come 4 players out through the door. They do check the first man at the back of the site. Sunny only gets 1. Stiko, he's got to hold on to this alone, waiting for reinforcements, but none needed. 2 kills from Stiko and 2 players left up for OpTic.
Snappy has been able to sneak past him, at least for the time being. Stiko has to double back and check this, and he's not going to spot it in time, so they deal with the first man. Rops tries to trade that. Yugi's kept his sights fixated up on the heavens and reads that very well. Oscar makes a bit of noise, takes one to the lower torso, and it's Snappy to finish things off. That'll be OpTic recovering that round when, you know, really they didn't have all too much business getting back into it once Stiko kind of holds his own inside of the A bomb site.
Yeah, it seems like when OpTic were going for the immediate A burst off the back of Spawn, the mousesports are doing a great job of shutting it down with the utility and even aggression close towards the hut and the squeaky. But when OpTic actually probe outside a little bit, put a bit of pressure elsewhere, then come later into A, mousesports seem to be far more surprised by that push, and it seems like OpTic worked out exactly the setup, catching Sunny up in the heaven, and of course ready for Rops to re-peek in through that exact position as well. Chris J though, first blood of this round, is taking down the other AWP outside. Ooh, Conflict crossing, gotta be careful, and he's gonna get taken down through the smoke. That's not a great start for OpTic. They're 2 men down, there's no trade available. Chris J's just gonna back off, and while OpTic are given B, mousesports already have 2 players here. They have no worry at all.
Yeah, they've already rotated Rops away from that B bomb site. They've swapped him out for Sunny, who's now taken up position on the ramp. And as you pointed out, that does mean mousesports, they are fully prepared for this B side play should it look to come through. Oscar donning a double up. He's going to go ahead and eliminate Snappy from this round, leaving Refresh and Cajun in the hot seat. A 2-on-5, and this one does finally feel like it should be impossible for OpTic. A chance for mousesports to potentially find a clean round, and their first in quite some time. Here's Refresh trying to call all that into question. I don't know if Chris realizes that he's crossed just yet, holding the angle for the time being. The rest of the guys are still down here at B, so not the biggest worry. He's just guaranteeing, but Oscar, the timing just gets off the angle as Refresh rears his head. You still have Rops here. He's the failsafe, the man keeping an eye on this bomb. Ooh. Molotov to slow it down. On the back of that, there's not really any hope left in this one. Oscar keeping his eye on the angle, and that'll be the round. mousesports hold on to that nicely. 4 players surviving as well. They keep it clean. And that's crucial over on this CT side, because you cannot get reset with this scoreline. Otherwise, you end up in that situation where you're buying, you lose a round, and you have to save. And very, very quickly, that can spiral out of control. You just get stuck in that cycle.
Yeah, it definitely looked like mousesports had no idea where Refresh had gotten up to after Chris J just misses him by a second, getting down into B. Once also scoped out, you could see all the other players starting to reposition, check their backs, make sure they're not being flanked. Luckily, mousesports don't have a problem with it at the end of the day. Sunny getting wallbanged very, very low, 39 HP. That's up through the hut very early on, so Config is going to try and abuse this. He hears the Molotov trajectory go out, so he's going to creep in through main. And Stiko's got his back turned. He's still caught with a nade out, but he still switches to his weapon in time for 1. That's worth its weight in gold. Oscar's now up in the heaven with the AWP, and he's firing off. First shot connecting. Sunny's been dropped, but Chris J with the secondary AWP also doing damage as well. He's locking down main. OpTic are not being given this A site for free. It's Cajun alone, but the wrap is already here. Rops is on the back lines, and even though Cajun spots him first, he's going to get wallbang from Chris. Classic. 3 kills from the Dutch AWPer, and mousesports another round to add to their tally. 7-7 here.
Tying things up. It turns out his double AWP might have been the solution to their problems. Another important thing to note there was the switch up of Chris J. They had him, you know, rounds prior. He's playing in towards hut, trying to keep an eye towards outside. You see he takes the early peek in through squeaky, then repositions down towards heaven or hell. That round instead, he's immediately down in the B bomb site, pushing up through secret. That then allows him to spot that there's no one using that wall of smokes, and he's immediately there to punish the players that have slipped on by into that A bomb site. This round, OpTic gonna try and once again, return to what they know and love, the tried and tested, back towards this outside control. The wall of smokes goes down, and they're already in secret, but Chris J, once again, posted up to try and lock down this portion of the map.
Ooh, duck, but Config peeks his head over the top, and Chris J rips it clean off. First pick for mousesports already, and Chris J has so much room to remove and go back a little bit further, try and take a different fight. Stiko as well, bringing up some pressure. As he takes a second kill, Chris J caught in the Molotov, and Refresh going to abuse that, but able to take him down. It's Robs alone on the B site. We've not seen this position before, so OpTic may be caught by surprise. Sunny is even starting to wrap out through the yard as well. He was earlier in the garage, but now with OpTic's smoke starting to fade, he's pushed in from behind. So OpTic, little do they know it, but they are trapped. There's 2 men on ramp, there's 1 on the site, there's 1 in secret. Refresh with a very crucial couple of entries though, and he may have just saved the day. He's on 3 kills right now. The bomb plant coming in, and Stiko will try and stop it with a Molotov, and while it will force Refresh into the open, it's after the plant comes down. So the kill's there for Stiko, but it's a 2-on-2 on the retake.
Still very important. Stiko's able to isolate that kill. Sunny will get spotted out, and now Snappy and Yugi, they have this crossfire set up. Yugi can just be ducked away. Snappy can just hold this position as well over in Decon, and as Stiko taps on the ball, actually it's not planted for Yugi. They have to be a little bit cautious here. You can see he's wrapped all the way around, and that will be OpTic locking in their 8-7 at the end of this first half. We are split right down the middle on OpTic's map pick. Heading into their CT side, they're they're going to be sporting quite the advantage. We're going to head and throw this one over to a break, and then we'll be back with the second half. They couldn't quite do it on a train, but here on Nuke, they've been OpTicking all the right boxes. The Danes 8-7 up as they move into their CT side. mousesports going to be hard-pressed to get back into this one. For those of you who are just joining us, it was an 8-7 first half in favor of the Danish team. The first map, if you missed it, mousesports' pick of train ended 16-14 in favor of Mouse. So they're sitting 1-0 up in this elimination best of 3. OpTic doing everything they can to try and take us through to map 3. That's Mirage, but already Rops, he's throwing spanners in the works.
He's throwing bullets in the head. Yugi's already been picked up, and mousesports going to try and cross outside, but with no smoke down, Cajun has free reign. You would think Chris J's dropped into... Oh, sorry, it's Stiko dropping in, and Chris J coming in through the squeaky door, able to find himself 2 more kills, and wow, in a blink and you miss it. mousesports take a flawless pistol round. Where did that come from? OpTic getting very much caught out. The smoke and flashbang on mousesports they brought up, not even needed. But it's Rops with the P250 finding a double kill, and Oh, very clean pistol for mousesports. That is now 3 out of 4 pistol rounds to their name here in this series. And in the 1 pistol round they lost, they got the force buy straight after. So
yeah, that's what I was
good.
going to say,
Yeah.
right? So, yeah, I mean, they've been lent a lot of these rounds on the back of, you know, great pistols, great force buys into that second round. They're always so good at taking every little advantage they can. Now, I've seen a pair of headphones come off. That's the universal sign for something is broken.
Admin's on the scene now, though. I imagine they'll get fixed pretty quickly. But yeah, definitely not when you want to have a pause if you're OpTic. You just got wrecked on a pistol round, and now you got to take a break. This is going to definitely get in their heads a little bit. But you do have to remember, 8 rounds T-side. That's a damn good first half. Pistol may have not gone their way, but they have a huge advantage, even though the scoreline doesn't necessarily point at that.
Thing is, though, let's not forget what's on the line here, right? This, you know, European minor day 2, neither one of these teams showed up in their initial matchups. Obviously, we had the likes of mousesports losing out to Valiant just yesterday. OpTic as well, they had an equally dismal initial showing versus the likes of Team Vitality. It wasn't really what we'd wanted to see. I mean, you know, that's a pretty even matchup, I would say, on paper. I was just expecting a little bit more from the OpTic guys. And you kind of look at their results recently. That's why we maybe weight it as, yeah, it's not looking too great from this Danish squad just yet. But yeah, I mean, potentially, right, one of these guys, not potentially, sorry, definitely, one of these 2 teams is heading home. And that seems like such a crazy idea. And even then, after winning this out, you're not done. You have to go on to face Valiants later on, which for mousesports could be a shot at revenge as they look to try and secure a playoff spot. But focusing on the round at hand, it's been the force buy from OpTic. You can see Snappy and Yugi going to be sporting those scouts, refresh and config. Armor up behind those pistols. Cage and B going to be saving a little bit extra, looking to maybe try and bring the AWP out early on. There's Snappy, dispatching of the first man and kickstarting this round with an advantage in favor of the Danes.
Hey, anything mousesports can do, OpTic can do better. At least that's what they're hoping, because mousesports were the one to win this CT side force, whereas it's not working out too well right now for OpTic. They may have found that first pick, but they've lost control of the ramp room. Cajun, he's been flashed out, he's being pressured, he doesn't want to commit to that fight, so goes straight up back the ladder to heaven. At this point, mousesports, they're on quite the opposite vertical side. They're down in the lower depths of B. Rops holding onto this door push that Config's about to try and exploit, but Rops is one step ahead. That bomb plant is also down. And it's 2 scouts here for the save for OpTic. They can try and look for exits and grab a couple of AKs, but I imagine mousesports will stay fairly grouped in the post plant. Definitely don't want to be throwing away guns or giving OpTic any free upgrades here.
Yeah, it doesn't like they will. Maybe KGB gets something here from the lone Sunny, but even then it's only a Mac 10. You'd like to keep the scout over that. As more players come his way, yeah, maybe there's a chance for Cajun to do a little bit of damage. Saying that he is getting hounded down, so I'd just like to get out of danger and hold on to that scout, and indeed he will. mousesports is going to be taking the lead in this matchup, and it's been a little while since we've seen them there. It's been a pretty uncomfortable end to that first half after an initially pretty strong start from mousesports over on that CT side.
Yeah, really good start. I mean, as we said, losing pistol, winning force, able to reset OpTic very early on, and then we just had that huge 5-round streak of OpTic T-side rounds. And that's what really put them in the position they're in now. Although this position being a little more uncomfortable. Another eco coming out. mousesports likely going to be able to find 10 rounds here on this T-side with a fast burst towards A with the nades. They won't be committing off the back of it, but just trying to keep the pressure up, trying to keep OpTic second-guessing themselves. Again, you sometimes see in these early rounds of the half, somewhat teams conditioning CTs to react in a certain way. So when they can go for actual rifle rounds, they can force OpTic to do things that they want or reposition appropriately. And right now, mousesports will be hitting that A site a little bit later as their nades and smoke start to fade. Still finding the entries required though. Again, not a lot of resistance with OpTic being on pistols. And again, 2 scouts holding on. You may as well go for something here. You're going to be buying up in the next round anyway, so look to make that money, look to grab an AK. Yugi's at least traded off his teammate, but even a spot there won't be enough for a frag. The nade goes in, but by that point, Stiko's run for the hills. 2 of these T's are low, so they want to get out of here. They want to keep these guns. And mousesports will be given 10 rounds here.
Yeah, but that buy now on the horizon for OpTic. This one was just a bit of a throwaway round, a chance to try and do a bit of damage. They managed that. They're going to be looking now to this next round. Cajun, crucially, did save a little bit of extra cash in the round prior. While the rest of the team invested, he just took a deagle. That was all he had to work with. Ooh. No, they make it that much more expensive. But yeah, no, he's going to have the money to go ahead and buy the AWP up here. There's so much cash on this T side. Or CT side, rather. That they could even move into a double AWP setup if they would like.
And again, we saw that early in the first half where OpTic had that weird, buy from Yugi where he's pulling up an AK and it's limiting him, in a full-on rifle round where he had to play CZ. It took ages for him to even get an AWP in play. But at least this time he has the AWP into the first full rifle round of the half. So that's always a good sign for OpTic.
Yeah, and maybe that's just a difference in how they wanted to play it. But actually, we'll hold this, though, because it looked like it was going to maybe be a bit of a faster play out towards this A bomb site. Instead, they throw in the utility, they break the squeak, they deal a decent bit of early damage onto Refresh. And he's now forced off that angle in towards him, and he's certainly not ideal.
These early nades to A, mousesports, doing right what OpTic did wrong in the first few rounds of the T side. OpTic tried to go for a lot of fast A bursts, and they just got countered by the utility of mousesports, like cutting off and sectioning these players into groups of two. Well, mousesports just throw all their nades into A immediately, trying to force out Molotovs and anything from OpTic, but they will not bite. Note that. They have plenty of utility for later in the round. But already a bit of damage the way of Refresh, far from a perfect start. Nothing to worry about too much right now. Mousesports do still have that outside control. The wall of smoke's cutting off complete lines of sight for OpTic. So by OpTic's prediction, Mousesports could all be down B right now. And Chris J's even killed a player on ramp. This is going to be a very problematic situation for OpTic where they're lacking information. So Mousesports will hit that A site after all. Refresh trying to come up through that vent, and he will get one for his troubles, but an immediate trade leads Config alone on the back of the site, not going to be able to hold his own. And Yugi now on the wrong side of the map. That is a great execute from Mousesports. OpTic were completely left with no info.
Yeah, I mean, they just had no idea what was going on. Had to play very reactive Counter-Strike. Certainly not what you want. Yugi's here. He's trying to hold on to the store, but they are just hounding him down. Look at this. So there's blood in the water. The Sharks are circling, and they managed to pick him up, no problem. But yeah, I mean, as I was saying, right, maybe the reason that OpTic neglected having the AWP out on Yugi does maybe just seem like, on the T side, they wanted to keep going for those explosive plays. That's what we kept seeing them go back to, and it was working, right? So if it isn't broke, don't fix it. Here on the CT side, it's clear they want to try and make that more of a mainstay of this side of the map, at least, and how they look to play into it. Yugi this time sporting the Deegan armor, scout up for Refresh. It's a pretty poor buy cobbled together here. But that's a meaty tag from that scout. Refresh, time to shine, but he will get shut down. Sunny shining even brighter. Little bit of flare there. Cage and B, Config and Yugi left standing. Config's already here with a deagle, and that bear is a pretty threatening thing despite this being a $700 investment. They're able to drop him, and now Cage and B and Yugi left in the 2-on-4.
Yeah, not a lot of hope here, though. Only pistols to play with for OpTic, so bomb plant can come down from mousesports. The only, bit of light for OpTic is the fact that two players are low, but with missing that shot, Cajun going down and Yugi now left alone, may as well just look for some damage here. If he can get a kill with this SMG, it's just, a lot more money, $600. Helpful for buying up that AWP, but Stiko has really been on form this series as well, so got to be very careful coming down this ramp, and he will go down. So mousesports 12-8. This is where OpTic need a round. If OpTic don't get this first buy round here, or this second buy round here, they're going to have a lot of trouble.
Yeah, I mean, this is almost starting to feel like maybe a bit of a reoccurring problem with this OpTic squad. Is normally what we see is very, very competent T sides. You look at the guys within this team. You look at the likes of Refresh, Config, Yugi. You think about their playstyles back in their teams. They were always very, very aggressive, right? And I think that complements OpTic's T side perfectly. It gels super well. You can see that they're able to take all these aggressive fights, but on the CT side, that just doesn't translate that well. They play a more reserved style, and it almost looks uncomfortable. Yugi this time around is able to kickstart this round with a man advantage for OpTic Gaming. So they've managed that at least, but in the meantime, Sunny, he's gained so much ground. He's all the way down in control. And he's just sitting, biding his time, waiting for a player to cross, just walking him as crosshair. Cage and B actually reads it and shuts him down somehow. They've dealt with the point man down on B, and now things are looking good for OpTic here.
Oh, Rob's just dodging that shot as well, trying to take down this AWP down on B. Snappy will back off, but there's a second man up close, so Robs has to be very careful not to overstay his welcome. Stico still holding onto the A site, but there are two players here for OpTic. They have a strong hold with Refresh playing the site. One more man, I think that's Config just above as well, so this is going to be a difficult execute for mousesports with only one smoke to play with and all the players stacked up in the lobby. Oscar creeping on by, but he's not going to be checking the right angle. Refresh lines up two, dropping the bomb, and there's Config shining in from above. OpTic able to find themselves a rifle round, and an extremely important one at that, a round they needed, to be frank. And that's going to keep them in this game for at least the time being. 3 players surviving, a convincing round for the Danes, and this is not over just yet.
No, definitely not, but time is very much of the essence still. It's 9-12 right now, and we're approaching the latter stages of this second half, with mousesports being the team in the lead. They still have the money to buy here as well, so one silver lining for OpTic because they keep that very clean. They at least dodge getting reset. That would be devastating at this point in the game had it come down to another one of those 1vx scenarios that we so often saw OpTic in. A really pivotal moment in a swing round to find their footing and take a clean victory. Now poised to try and chain a few together. Snappy over here at the ramp with the AWP. Rotations are a long way away, but Refresh, he's already gone aggressive. He's pushed on in and he's been able to get away with it. So just gets one and then puts his running shoes on, heads back into the A bomb site, and he'll retreat without ever leaving a trace. OpTic now sitting comfortably a man up.
That's such an important pick. It's such a risky play from Refresh, considering there's no way to trade that if he goes down, but this has paid off dramatically for OpTic with a man advantage in a round that they do not want to get reset in. So now OpTic, all they've got to do is wait for mousesports to make the next play. No need to push up on this CT side, and exactly that. They are playing passive 3 on that A site right now. mousesports only just regaining control of the lobby, and we still have Sunny in the yard to eventually split in through main when they go for this A execute. But with 3 players and 30 seconds left, OpTic are poised and ready for this push. They're going to have a field day ahead of them. Cage and B's already locked down that flank in the yard, and now mousesports, they may even just give up on A entirely. They may even give up on the round. There's 20 seconds. If they don't go ramp right now, it's a save. And that's what it is for mousesports. They realize that without Sunny coming in through main and with the whole push being very telegraphed, they don't want to risk going for it. They'd rather hold on to the guns, come back in with a full buy in the upcoming round and give it another go.
And this is kind of what, this is the picture I was trying to paint, right? OpTic, you have all these aggressive players, and now we can see them starting to try and, you know, actually figure out how to best utilize them here on this CT side. That round there, for example, sending Refresh just deep in through Hut, picking up that man advantage through that entire round into disarray. Anything that mousesports had planned, well, suddenly, you know, you've got a man you have to try and contend with who's just caused complete chaos in your backline. The bomb was dropped there as well, which, you know, didn't really do all too much, but it did give the information as to where it resided at that moment in time. You lose all the utility on Chris J, because I believe he was the man who went down. This round, double AWP once again. Snappy and Yugi going to be donning them. Snappy still yet to really get tested down here towards ramp. Looks like mousesports going to try and go back to basics, back to this A bomb site, but that's where Config lies in wait, and he's quite the beast. They should have let Sleeping Dogs lie, because he's here, and he is mauling mousesports at this point in time.
Wallbang kill for Robs. I'm sure he'll take that, but Config is still standing strong at the back of the site. Side by side with the Refresh as well. Oscar fully blinded. He's hiding in the corner, but they've spotted him. The wallbang coming through. He's so low, and Config will not let his prey escape. 3rd kill of the round. Rob's trying to bail his team out, but there's no more wallbang potential here, surely. He has crossed to the right side, but Refresh doesn't want to challenge once again back into the hut. Sunny, while he is lurking down on B, the bomb is not here, and that's going to be the biggest task, getting the bomb down to B in a 2-on-4. Robs has a singular smoke to do it, but if we look at this, we're going to be seeing Robs break the window up on the top of A to allow Sunny to break the window at the same time without being heard. Now, will OpTic work that out? It's a common trick, maybe. But if not, then that gives an opportunity to Sunny to flank ramp, to kill a player back in the CT spawn, and allow Robs to come in through this A side. But you can see Snappy is 1 step ahead.
Yeah, OpTic, they're sitting so comfortably in this 4-on-2. He can just give up ramp and hold for this push, hold for that flank. Snappy knows he doesn't have to overcommit to these fights, have to put himself out in the open. Does miss the shot on a Rob, so he's allowed to slip by, but a 1v4 here from Mr. Cool. You're asking a lot of one man. He was the star back on Train, but here on Nuke, he's dead. Yeah, he's going to get snuffed out. So 11-12 in OpTic. They are getting back into this game in a pretty big way because now the money for mousesports is all but ran out. So looking like they might just have to take an eco here.
Yeah, I am very glad that OpTic read that window break play, though. When you're in a situation like that, when you're in a 4-on-2 and you don't have the entirety of the map covered, and then you hear a window break randomly and a single flash come in, you've got to definitely suspect something's going on there. So Snappy, big brains, big frags as well. He's top of the scoreboard right now for OpTic. Not exactly the player you would expect, but hey, if it's working, it's working. 11-12, a round away from equalizing it, and with mousesports on a half buy, this could just be it.
Yeah, this is looking like it might just be back to this A rush, and they're stacked up outside. Throwing down the wall of smokes outside to keep players' attention fixated there. That's got the attention of Cajun and Yugi, while the rest of the players now brute force their way into A, using these pistols up in the faces of OpTic. Cajun doing what he can, but he's very open there. Smoke's going to dissipate over towards Mini, but another one thrown on out. That's Rops lending a helping hand to Sunny, allowing that bomb plant. Does get picked up as a result because they spotted the trajectory, but my goodness, Sunny, he's not letting up. He's top of the board and he is just decimating OpTic right now. Ooh.
Uh-oh.
Okay. Bit overzealous there on the peak, perhaps, from Sunny. Smoke down on the bomb, and Stiko hidden away, playing the time. Yuki might just try and stick it. He's got a kit, he's got flashbangs, taps the bomb. Stiko peeks wide, and Stiko's going to clutch it in the 1v1. He's not going to allow OpTic to tie things up here and now. And he makes that half buy work. That is so important for Mouse, because now they're going to be flushed with cash.
Yeah, huge influx as well, right? That's a round that mousesports didn't even bank on winning. The A site has been impenetrable for mousesports this entire half. OpTic have been doing a very good job of holding on to it, or at least in the last few rounds, right? But mousesports actually getting it done with pistols, a quick burst, and 13 rounds to 11. OpTic still able to buy for a couple more, but it's rocky territory, it's rocky road, with mousesports 3 away from knocking OpTic out of the EU Minor here in Katowice. Someone is going home. And that's the scary part about this matchup. It may even be in Nuke as well. Yugi back on the AWP. Oscar pulling in his first for the T side as well. Ops. Oh, he's going to get caught. The push up on ramp from Snappy. We've seen this calculated aggression from OpTic. When I say calculated, it's very solo. It's very individual. We've seen Refresh push hut. We've seen Snappy push ramp now. It's big risks, but they've worked out every single time, and OpTic have opened up a big part of the map. The issue is they've lost outside control in the meantime, so Sunny's going to be able to abuse this, but don't get confused. This isn't looking like a B play right now. Sunny can split through this main position and try and wrap his way into A with his teammates up in lobby. Because again, mousesports don't have the option to get anyone else down on B unless they get through this vent.
Yeah, and Sunny there even making sure to make some noise as he pushes in towards Secret in the event that maybe there's a man in the warehouse. Oscar securing that kill. Puts us back in. Oh no, you've been betrayed by your little toes, and Config devastated. Stiko's in with another. Cajun B doing what he can. He's up in the heavens. Christo battening down the hatches, locking this one in, and Snappy 1v3, a lot to ask. He might be top fragging for his team right now. But this does not feel like a possible clutch for him. Especially as well, you take a look at the money on OpTic, he kind of almost needs to hold on to something. It would definitely come in handy, but caught looking completely the wrong way. Doesn't expect Sunny to be in hell, because why would you? And that's mousesports, 14-11. So close to edging this out and sending OpTic home.
And that was a chance for OpTic to actually reset mousesports, their first round in the last 4 as well. So if OpTic won that, mousesports, they would have been crushed. Obviously would have had a little bit of money left after they won that eco round or half buy, but it still would have been OpTic's route back into the game. And if anything, it's come back to bite them. 14-11. OpTic, the economy is very topsy-turvy right now. Definitely not what they would want when you're facing up against 14. You're now, at least OpTic are in a position where they can go, okay, we have 11 rounds, we can play for OT if need be, but I'm not expecting that at all. I'm expecting a full buy right here. This is OpTic after all. They do like to buy. And they do have the players to make it work as well, don't get me wrong. But this is just such a difficult position to be in. 14-11 to mousesports on the T side of OpTic's map pick. Already a map up in the series, and 2 rounds away from elimination. OpTic They've got to be a little bit sweaty here.
Almost definitely. I mean, you take a look at this buy, it's certainly not the buy you'd want to rely on to deny match and series point the way at mousesports. They do at least have the AWP on Yugi as a bit of a silver lining. Snap, he's limited. Utility isn't all that great, all things considered.
Oh.
Yugi actually going to get naded down, my goodness. But this is something I was about to bring up. I would love to see OpTic try their hand at a bit of aggression outside. We haven't actually seen them do anything towards this portion of the map. And you take note of how their CT side's been. It's had to be very reactive because these players from mousesports, they've been shrouded in utility and then very explosive. So you haven't really had any stacks in these bomb sites.
And to add on to that point as well, mousesports have never sent a full conga line outside through the yard. They've usually sent, Sunny on his own or Oscar with Sunny just to, try and find picks or lurk in through A main or try and work down towards B. So to have two players out there for OpTic, if, one or two of mousesports players push out, that's a very good position for OpTic to challenge. So it might work out, but you can see Sunny's being very, very careful, checking the corner. Oh, his head's going to be given away, and Cajun's taken the shot. Man advantage for OpTic very early on, and that's going to cut down this B split, but they will still charge down this ramp. Yugi trying to get into position to deny the hell push, but they want nothing to do with it. They want B. Refresh has already given up the ramp room and fallen down into the depths below, but he's going to be calling for reinforcements with Yugi not spotting anyone here. And mousesports, they actually bail. They go back into the lobby and give it another go on A, where OpTic have two players sat.
Yeah, but there's only 20 seconds left. They leave Rops behind to come in late on this lurk, and I don't think the players up in heaven see that coming. Nice flick from Oscar. Chris J's in with another, and here's the flank prevailing from Rops. Refreshing Cajun. This round was looking like it should have been OpTics. They had the man advantage. It was looking like things were finally going to go their way. But mousesports digging deep, able to recover. And now standing on 15 rounds as Refresh and Cajun B, they just play it safe. They hold onto these rifles for the most part. That is going to be all they have with them in this next round. Going to have to cobble some sort of buy around it. mousesports just 5 kills away from sending OpTic home and locking in their shot at revenge versus Valiance later on today.
And OpTic fell for that hook, line, and sinker. It feels like mousesports have been ahead of this T side every single step of the way, constantly confusing OpTic. Yugi rotating fast up that ladder to try and get back towards the A site, and that's when Rops is able to get the flanking kill onto him. These fakes have been very, very strong from mousesports, and while they haven't even necessarily seemed like the initial game plan from the outset, they've done a very good job of actually, these mid-round calls and reacting to maybe not always having the best positions, being in that man disadvantage early on, losing Sunny outside, their top fragger as well. mousesports showing us some great Counter-Strike here in Katowice, and now 1 round away.
And I mean, there's the buy from OpTic. Pretty dismal, all things. This is what they have to try and dig deep with. They need 4 rounds in a row to try and take this through to overtime. That's not even to close this out. That's just the beginning of the journey. And the road to the comeback is long and perilous. But if they don't manage to pick it up, their road here at the EU Minor for Katowice will be a very short one indeed. Their journey potentially about to come to a close unless we can see a vintage performance from some of the guys on this squad. And this time around, mousesports has taken a very, very slow start to this one, very methodical in their approach, waiting to see if OpTic try any sort of desperation pushes, try and go for that aggression that, these players are known for, really.
No one wants to be that first man to make a mistake or go down here for OpTic. They were willing to try it earlier on in the half, but not right here, not right now. Yugi, dangerous position outside. He is going to get a bit of damage onto Sunny, but you can see Oscar's already honed in on the angle. Won't connect the shot, and he's actually being pressured quite heavily. Yugi's even swiveled back to kill Sunny, and Oscar needs to try and find this trade. Stiko is making a lot of noise down on ramp, and that's going to force the rotation down from Refresh, dropping in towards B. It's actually Snappy, rather, instantly removed. Low HP on a couple of OpTic players, but they do have 1 man down in the door.
Yeah, 4-on-4, probably one of the best chances for a retake we've seen from OpTic in quite some time, but already Cajun's fallen short. Rops getting rid of him. And now Config, Yugi, and Refresh. This is the 3-man firepower core that we so often talk about, and we need to see them demonstrate why these are the talked about players in this team. Time ticking down, and mousesports, they're not under any pressure. Refresh just misses the peak there, so he goes meandering into Stiko's iron sights. Config left in a 1v4 and trying to do all he can, but it's not enough. mousesports 16-11, they take the series 2-0, and they lock in their chance to play versus Valiant. Later on today, that chance for revenge, Hugo.
Yeah, and commiserations to OpTic, a team that I expected to get through this group. I thought they would come into this event very, very prepared. They had an unlucky start, losing to Team Vitality in that opening game, getting really beaten on, to be honest. And then mousesports even 2-0ing them, taking their map pick away in a more dominant fashion than mousesports' map pick. That's a really, really nice game from mousesports. I think they may have had a slow start to this event, but I think they're going to bounce back, and I imagine this team will be qualifying for the major, like we all kind of predicted coming into the minors. But
I mean, only time will tell, right? Chance to rematch versus Valiant. That's going to be coming up in just a bit. But first, we're going to throw this back to 3 more guys who want nothing but sweet, sweet revenge. Trace and the gang, how are you guys doing?
Yeah, I don't know about the revenge, Harry, but one thing I do know is that the sun has set over mousesports. They have found success here over OpTic, and OpTic will be joining the former Space Soldiers on that plane ride home, because that's all she wrote. It's done and dusted for those teams, and we are sending OpTic home. That's maybe the talking point we should start with.
They still put up a really good fight, though, right? Like, I think the fact of the matter was their T side, what they were doing was exploiting the rotation patterns of mousesports with the smoke wall. Standard, you throw the wall, you go down secret, you do your business. But there was a couple strats where they actually threw the wall, had players coming off of the main roof, and actually took fights which exploited the rotations and made life a little bit more difficult for mousesports, which means you either have to play more passive or play more aggressive, and they're able to toy with that. But then you look at mousesports and the way they address their T side, letting Sunny do that towards Squeaky Door on a lion's share of rounds. If he does that move, drops the HE, drops the smoke, pushes out, either goes down the vent or just goes for that hut kill. It's a very difficult thing to deal with because of how individual it is.
I mean, we're looking at a mousesports here on their T side where they were really dictating how they wanted to approach the map. We did see these fallback patterns. We did see these situations where they maybe second guess what they wanted to hit, or maybe they didn't necessarily utilize everything that they had to do to take a bomb site. But for what it's worth, they kind of just took control there in the second half.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, CT's a lot about protocols on Nuke. It's actually tougher tof looks. Yeah. I mean, it feels to you like it's easy to actually hold on CT's side, but if you do manage to play around those rotations well and get the man advantage most of the time, that puts you in a great position to be acquiring round after round. But if you want to be optimistic for OpTic, I guess, the T side was actually pretty good.
Yeah.
I felt like, the way, not only the way that they were doing the smoke walls and everything, but their upper heads too were pretty good. I think also a bit the fact that mousesports necessarily were not doing the best possible job in trying to hold the upper bomb side, because a lot of the time OpTic managed to get a lot of isolated kills without anyone training for Mouse. So something for Mouse to be looking at when they're holding that upper bomb side. But apart from that, yeah, still positives for OpTic to take away. But in the big picture, it's not a great outlook. It's been a tough, 6, 7, 8 months now at least for them.
It's been a continuous tough affair for those guys there.
Basically.
I don't want to speculate too early, but I think if North go out and they don't beat Windigo and they don't qualify...
This is good. This is where things get fun right there.
If neither Danish team here is able to make it to the major, you would expect one of these organizations to go to Carrigan, to kiss his feet, to give him a blank check and say, pick whatever Danish team you want, obviously excluding Astralis players, and bring these two teams together, bring the up-and-coming players, bring something new, because the Danish scene is very deep with talent. We can see that. It's just about giving them the right direction, because both of these North and OpTic projects don't seem to be clicking right now.
And they're going to be assigning you as a GM.
I'll do it.
I think that's how that works. And Chad is pretty fluent in Danish. I made that up, actually. But what we do have on our hands now, you want to talk about fluent and clicking, we're going to be talking to Mr. Chris J of mousesports. Let's hear what he has to say.
Oh, that's right, so now I've got Chris J here, and now you guys have managed to take down OpTic with 2-0. I want to come back onto the first game on Train. There was a lot of times there where you guys were kind of winning these opening duels. You had a lot of times where they were just kind of getting the clutches out there. It got a little bit scary though, right? They were in the lead, it was 14-12. What did you do to come back from that?
I don't know, I think we had a good game plan on City side, but because of some reasons, for example, one of the first gun rounds I was playing with Scout in the position we planned me to play with Op, and I tagged 2 guys, we lost the round, but if I would have played with Op in that situation, I obviously would have killed 2 and we probably win the round. And then we got kind of into this string where you don't have like super good money, but you still don't want to eco because their money is also not good. So we didn't have like all the weapons or nades that we really wanted, and that just gave them more chances, even though they obviously played good. They were like trying to fake us all over the map a bit, and that worked pretty well until we really realized that. And then when we got some money, we got back into it, and yeah, things went our way.
Then Nuke, it came a little bit more convincing, a bit more of the old mousesports style in there, but certainly OpTic put up a good fight. Going into that match, obviously playing against a Danish team who are notably good on a map like Nuke, was there any kind of concerns there? Because you guys haven't had maybe the standout performance people expected so far.
Yeah, I think it's clear that we are not in our best shape right now, but I was pretty much hoping for them to pick Nuke because I think we're pretty good on Nuke. Even though we haven't played against a lot of opponents, we played mostly against Astralis, and we usually don't win. Or, I mean, we never won Nuke against them, obviously, but we got closer. We feel we're really good on Nuke, so we definitely knew we had a good chance, even with not that good of a CT side. We know our T side is also pretty good right now, so we were really confident there, yeah.
Well, it is Astralis, so we can ignore that one when it comes to the previous Nuke games. But going up against for Lions coming up next, right, it's going to be a bit of a revenge mode. Do you feel a lot more comfortable now after this game and then going into the best of 3? Because those guys certainly gave you a hard time. I just wanted to know your thoughts on what you thought went wrong on Mirage that you were so confident on in the best of 1.
I don't know, Nexa said yesterday in HTV interview that they anti-started this pretty hard, and I guess they did, but I think the biggest problem was that most of our players just weren't so on point. And I think right now we're still not at our best level, but at least today looked a bit better. I think more of us are hitting their shots, people are talking more, getting a bit more into tournament mode again. So I feel like we should beat them. Yeah, I feel like we should beat them, definitely.
You were certainly the favoured team, and I'm going to ask one last thing off that. Why do you feel like you guys maybe not in your best form at the moment? Is it just kind of getting back into it after having the break?
I think it's mostly that, yeah. Most of us didn't play at all during the vacation. So obviously we practiced, I mean, when did we start practicing? In like 8 or 9 January. So we had like a couple of days of really good practice, but going to a tournament, it's still something different, and you need to get used to communication in tournament setting again, and that was definitely a problem yesterday, and it's a bit of a problem still today, but I feel like we're getting back on track.
Hey man, I hope you do get back on track. Good luck going forward on to the next game. Guys on desk, I'm sure you got a lot to break down from that, so back over to you.
Yeah, we could continue to break down the woes of, well, at least the slow starts of this mousesports lineup, but I just want to say, hey, Kerrigan, OpTic here. Sorry, I had to get it out there. You know, it's all about the meme sometimes. But at this point, I mean, I think, yes, we're going to be seeing more of mousesports, but really, where can we go with OpTic at this point? I mean, what can they hope to have come from this?
It's a rough way to start the year, right? Because this is one of the biggest tournaments that we're going to see throughout 2019, and you haven't even gotten past the minor phase of it, right? So going forward, they're going to have a decent period of time to boot camp or try and fix things, or just keep practicing to join the regular tournament circuit. But for right now, you're just going to feel flat because you're out of the tournaments for the next, 5-6 weeks? You won't be doing a whole lot. So maybe another vacation?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the way to fix issues. Just don't do anything. Relax, sunbathe.
That's how I fix all my problems.
But do they really fix problems?
They're not. They just keep building up in my bloody inbox. So, yeah.
An autoresponder does go a long way, which is what we're going to be doing. What do you got, Nathan?
No, I'm just going to say I feel like the nukes are going to be coming in for this OpTic lineup.
I think so. And, you know, that is the weird sort of mix that we have going on here, because we did highlight the fact that North aren't necessarily looking the prettiest either. So should they have that trouble, we could be looking at an all-Danish derby, and I don't mean one in the server. And when we go back to the server, it's going to be time for our next best of 3, the last one of this day, but one that certainly has some bearing, an elimination match. It's going to be, well, the mousesports versus Team Valiants, and we're going to be jumping into that after we come back from the break, so make sure you're here with us. Don't go anywhere.